and I know this. I flat out know this.
Mm-hmm.
But if that was the price for making America whole again,
mm-hmm.
when I took my oath 51 years ago to the United States Marine Corps, no one promised us life. No one did.
Mm-hmm.
They promised us duty and loyalty and service and maybe death.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they talked to us in 1959. I don't think they talk to them that way anymore. But in 1959 they did. And if my death were a requirement
mm-hmm.
for the saving of America, well, hell, I could have died in Vietnam.
Right.
You know, it's my service, my country, my Corps. And Phil, it's like you in the Navy. You know, we signed on to this, and we love our service, and none of us wishes to die. I mean, certainly I don't. You know, I don't think either one of you guys do. But if that's the price, then that's the price I pay. I mean that.
You know, Alan, when you're talking about Marines, I have the utmost respect, and I know your duty to country, and you know, when the torpedo hit our ship, and I opened up the scuttle, guess who I pulled out of there? A United States Marine named Bryce Lockwood,
mm-hmm.
and he was holding on to another sailor, and saved his life, and he received a Silver Star, and God bless him for that. And I understand wholeheartedly what's in your heart, because I have it in my heart. I didn't learn it by becoming a sailor as such, but I learned it through the grace of God for saving our ship. I learned it through scholars like you. I've learned it through good friends like Mark Glenn and my shipmates, and I've learned it through actions of Israel. And when you struck me very, very hard just a second ago when you talked about 911, you're very willing to say that, yeah, they did it, 911. Yes, they did. And you know, my heart broke, and I saw that plane, the last one, go into the tower.
Mm-hmm.
And to see that, I mean, I know it's in your heart, Mark's, and everybody else's, to see your fellow Americans being slaughtered and murdered just as they did the USS Liberty. Alan, it is something that if we don't talk about it, if we don't tell people about it, I believe God wants us to. I believe God wants us to, and if we don't, shame on us.
Well, it's not just that.
I agree very much on that side, and I'll tell you, if you know, I have a dream, as Martin Luther King Jr. once said, you know, and my dream is that the 5th and 6th U.S. fleets take Israel and cream it.
Well, you know what? Just for the record,
and that's the end of it.
Just for the record,
absolutely. Just
for the record, Dr. Sabrosky, it was about 3 years ago, and I can remember distinctly. I was on a radio program, and this was in the run-up to the reunion that the Liberty guys were going to be having in D.C. And I made a prediction on the air that I believed with all my heart at the time, and I believe with all my heart now. But someday, some way, I don't know exactly how it's going to happen. I have my suspicions, but someday and some way, maybe a lot sooner than any of us realize, the United States is going to find herself at war with Israel, and I mean a real live shooting war. Now, technically speaking, we are at war with her because she is at war with us. She is out to destroy us. We just haven't figured it out yet. My personal prediction is that probably, again, sooner than any of us realize or would like to envision, Israel is going to pull off another 9/11. She's going to pull off another USS Liberty. Obviously, some pretty powerful people in some pretty prominent places, such as Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Mike Mullen, believe that this is a possibility because he cut short a trip that he had made to Europe a few years ago to hastily fly to Israel to meet with his counterpart and warn him in no uncertain terms how important it was that there not be another USS Liberty Part 2. So, and as far as what you two fellows were just talking about, that we need to talk about this, I'm going to offer another theory here for discussion. We would already have had that 9/11 Part 2 or that USS Liberty Part 2. That would already have been a fait accompli were it not for the fact that a growing number of people have been talking about this problem now for the last, since 9/11. I think that Israel has been watching all of this and has been saying we need to kind of let things cool down a little bit for now. If we pull another one off, try to pull another one off right now, then that's it. We're going to blow our cover. So
it's not only a matter of blowing our cover. If Americans ever truly understand that, their history, it'll be a bloody, brutal war, and they're gone. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not even going to be a close contest.
Well,
and they know that, and what they understand, I think, as well, is that their leverage is on the political appointments. Mm-hmm. Their leverage is not in the uniformed services. There are lots. If you pick up the Army Times or the Navy Times or any of the journals of any of the services, you get a very different view than you get, looking at the Congress and the White House. Mm-hmm. And the military has not been bought. The military is loyal, but it has not been bought. Mm-hmm. And if it ever understands this, really, really deeply understands this, and this is what I got when I put some of these things to the Army War College and to Headquarters Marine Corps, and I mentioned to a contact at Headquarters Marine Corps, I said, they did 9/11. Mm-hmm. And it was, you don't mean it. I said, absolutely. And if they ever understand that, these people are history.
Well, now let me ask you something, Doctor. And obviously, I understand that we need to protect the names of the innocent here, and this is
there are no innocent.
Okay, I'd like to know a little bit more about this. I mean, these conversations that you're having with your colleagues who are still serving in uniform, what is the reaction on their part when you tell them things like this?
First, a disbelief, and what I show them immediately afterwards is an interview with a Danish demolitions expert named Danny Jowenko, and it shows the third building at the World Trade Center going down, WTC-7.
Right.
And they look at that, and I said, now you understand that if one of the buildings was wired for demolition, all of them were wired for demolition.
Right.
And that's it. Mm-hmm. That's the tipping point. Mm-hmm. I mean, getting into arguments about who was flying what and where they were and whether there was nanothermite, those things are true, but they're incidental.
Right.
The thing that's necessary is to tell people 3 buildings went down, the third was not hit by a plane, it was wired for controlled demolition, therefore all of them were wired for controlled demolition, and at that point the reaction is rage. First disbelief and then rage.
Well, I got to tell you, that I find to be very encouraging because, based upon the cursory conversations I have with some military people, and I have to be real careful about what I say because you just don't know what you're walking into when you start a discussion of this type with one of them. Based upon these, as I said, cursory conversations that I've had with some of them, they're clueless and they don't want to hear about it. They are loyal to the flag that is on their left sleeve as a patch, and the thought that the government could be in any way involved in any kind of high crimes and treason against the United States, the people of the United States, is just unthinkable to them. So I'm glad to hear that there still is some gray matter and some patriotism left, at least in the circles where you travel, Dr. Sabrosky.